All right. Welcome back to the weekly roundup where all the coaches get together to talk about what we've shared with our agents this week, insights that we're seeing from the market, and just general useful information for all of our realtor friends out there to take advantage of. I'm Dylan. That's Jen. That's Mike. That's Mel down there in the bottom right corner. Welcome to our show. And today we are going to be talking about Facebook ads. I want to jump right into it because I know we're a little tight on time today. Mike, this goes way back for you and me. We had a challenge maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. A battle, yeah.
A battle for sure.
A battle. So this all stemmed, we were trying to help our agents generate more leads through Facebook ads. And all four of us here are realtors with Keller Williams. And Mike and I had taken a Facebook ads course through Ryan Serhant, who advocates through doing all of this right through Facebook. But we know through KW, they have an international, like KW International has a big contract with Facebook, a partnership that helps us generate ads better and our dollar go further when we generate through our CRM through Command. And we didn't believe it. Mike and I both sat there and we're like, well, Ryan Serhant's saying all this great information. He's this big agent, so successful. Maybe we should just do what he says. But then we've got all Keller Williams stuff over here. Maybe we should try them out. So we ran the exact same identical ad, me through Facebook and Mike through Command. Long story short, Command outperformed my Facebook ad. But most importantly, Mike was actually able to pick up not only a lead, but a buyer and close on that transaction within 30 days from running the ad. How long was it, Mike? Can you correct me there?
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about the story.
So we ran the ad. I don't know if you remember it, but I spent $12 US, so $15 Canadian, yep. $12 US to run the ad for, I think we did for 10 days, or it might have been 7 days. I got a lead that wants.
We can always quote back to our original video because we provide all the stats and all the data for anybody that's interested.
Yeah, that's right. We still have all the stats. So we can go back to the original video. But basically, got a lead, went on a showing with them. We connected, obviously, and a month later, we bought them a listing, right? Which was awesome, which is really, really great because it helped verify that the leads we were getting through KW Command's platform were higher quality than the ones we were getting through Facebook. But here's the fun part about this is not only is our job to generate new leads, but our job also is to follow up with leads and continue to follow up with them long after the sale, right? So they purchased with me, which was in 2021, and they called me about 2 weeks ago and they asked me about a renovation. They want to renovate their bathroom. Yep. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. So I gave them some tips. And then we opened out, and again, I've been in touch with them several times over the past 2 years. And through that conversation, we just signed the listing. We were actually going to be listing their home next Monday, and it's going to go live again. So that same Facebook ad, that original Facebook ad that costs you, $15, has converted into 2 sales over the span of 2 years, right? So the importance is to continue to follow up, right?
It's a good investment.
Yeah, it's a great investment, right? Because again, at the time you're like, $15, am I really going to get anything out of this? And that lead, when you broke it down per lead, it was like 85 cents for that one lead.
For a lead, not even just for impressions or anything. We're talking about leads where 85 cents lead. Is what he's getting.
85 cents for that contact. So it cost me $1 to get that person, and generating how many dollars back, right? By continually following up. But one thing I really want to highlight here is on the listing presentation, when I was there, we're going through, and this is a great touch for anybody that's looking for to have a touch to add in to reach out to clients. So they purchased, and at the time they purchased in May. So it's literally like 2 years to the day that they purchased, which is hilarious. And I said to her, we're going to go live the day after Mother's Day. And she said to me, oh, that's a day after your birthday. And I'm like, how the heck did you know that? And she goes, because last year, when we bought the place, we put the offer in on your birthday. And I'm like, you remember the day that we offered on the place? And she's like, yeah, I remember the day we offered on it. And we closed on it June 7th, so a month later. And I'm like, wow, you remember the day you closed on it? So she asked her, her fiance, do you remember the day that we closed on it? He goes, no idea at all. So she remembers the day she closed on it. And you know what I found when I told this story to a whole bunch of other people is that every single girl that I told this to knew the exact day that they closed on their listing. Every single guy that I told it to had no idea. So why I want to highlight this is a home anniversary is a great touch to reach out
Absolutely.
not only to a couple, but to really reach out to the guy and say, hey, listen, 2 years ago today, you closed on this place. Maybe stop by the flower shop, buy a bouquet of flowers, bring it home to your wife, and celebrate that.
I
Right?
love
Have
that,
another
Mike.
reason to celebrate. So one, you're saving him, and you're also appreciating her too, right? And it's a great touch.
I
Because I'm
love
like,
that.
wow, how like that date was so important to her that she remembered it. Like I remember buying this place. I remember the day we closed. And if you just contacted them every year, June 7th, and just said, hey, listen, today is the 2-year anniversary. That's a nice little celebration, right? It's something to remember, especially when it's something impactful like their first home, right? So
Yeah.
don't sleep on the idea of the home anniversary being a great touch, because it is a very, very powerful touch for your
Jen,
database.
Jen, is it not so true? Like I can think, Mike, I love that story because I can think, and now you made me think of all the women, and it's always like, oh, what's your closing day? And I'm thinking, okay, not a weekend or a holiday, and she's like, oh, that is 6 months after the baptism of so and so, and you like that's how they remember time, and they remember
100%.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's not just first time homes, right? Like I could
Mhm.
probably tell you pretty close to the closing date of every house that we've ever purchased, like our cottage, our
Yeah.
town, our current house, the house we just bought. Like, and I will always know those dates because the brain does work differently for females and males, but especially when it comes to dates, there's always that ongoing joke of like how many years you've been married or dating, and like the husband never knows,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But
Dylan got a little nervous there.
You know what? Because we're the realtors as well, it does help. I negotiate a bunch of the deals, so I've got most of them, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're pretty good. But it is a good reminder that just because we hear people say all the time, oh, like anniversary, like that's kind of weird or that's not a big deal. But if your client is sentimental, if your client is female, if your client is, emotional in any way or has any sort of like sense of like what that means, if it's some sort of significant date or moment in their life, they will always remember that date, and it will always be
Mhm.
something you can tie and share with them. So you can go so far as saying like, hey, happy at every year on their anniversary, sending them that card or that touch or that
Mhm.
text message or the phone call to the husband to go, hey, maybe pick up some flowers or a bottle of wine, or maybe order dinner in tonight and have it like celebrate it.
Mhm.
But it also becomes significant when you do multiple deals with them, and now you're connecting with them throughout the year, and you're also
Yeah.
reminding them that you've been a part of all of those experiences, and you're still
A journey.
celebrating.
Yeah.
That's gonna
Yeah.
always reaffirm
Yeah.
that relationship without any other cost or effort, right? Which is huge. And I love that this all circles back to a Facebook lead, because I
And again,
remember when you
yeah.
guys did that contest, and
Yeah.
the difference was quite staggering. Wasn't it like $3 difference between the leads that Dylan got and the leads that you got, Mike? Like it was a
It
significant
was
amount,
something,
wasn't it?
yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
And
some
I think Dylan
substantial
even spent
money.
more money too. I think you
Yeah.
spent more
I
money
did
than
spend more
too.
money because I think I
Yeah.
just did my default. I usually just do $20 on one of those things. And so
Yeah.
of course it's
Yeah.
in US, so $20 US.
Yeah, we didn't get 2 deals out of that.
No, we did not get 2
No.
deals out of that.
No. And that's the
And
thing.
What
It's going
was
back.
your
I'm so
ad?
glad we did that competition.
yeah, it was a good competition, right?
It was.
It worked out well.
Yeah.
What
No,
was your
that's
question there,
exactly it.
Mel?
And
Everybody listening, what was your ad? Like, what was it for?
Yeah.
Was it
it was
advertising
just a
listings?
property that Dylan had listed. It was
Yeah, I had
actually,
just
I think
listed.
it was Castle Rock, I think.
It
Was
was
it Castle
Uh,
Rock?
Rock.
Oh,
It
there
Yeah,
you
was
I'm
go.
pretty
Yeah.
confident it was Castle
Yeah.
Rock, because you know what? You know what the best part about this? I still have leads that I call from that stupid Facebook ad
See,
too.
look at
And the
that.
only way that I know they're leads from that is because the address is Castle Rock. And I go,
It's
oh,
it's
it's a lead
tagged.
from, yeah, it's
Yeah.
tagged Castle Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I'm like, oh, that was from that day.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
a perfect time to kind of pivot to a little bit more. Why don't we just talk specifically about that ad campaign and that transaction?
Yeah.
And let's talk about kind of like some of the stuff that you learned throughout that, and maybe just some best practices. And the 3 coaches, of course, will chime in as well. But share a little bit about what that looks like and how you formatted it for somebody that is new to Facebook advertising.
Can I jump in for a quick
Absolutely.
Yes.
second? Just so for the listeners that don't know what Castle Rock is, it's a condo townhouse unit in Richmond,
Yes.
starter or entry level price point but it is, yeah. So just so we're aware, we're not talking about a
Thank
luxury
you.
home or a really beautiful property with stunning photos. None of it's just a standard condo townhouse. Yeah.
Standard starter home.
Well
for sure, yeah.
staged by the Silbernagel team and specifically Jennifer.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, like when I look at a Facebook ad, it's pretty straightforward, right? What is the goal of the ad? The goal is to bring awareness to whatever it is that you're selling. So if you're trying to find a new listing and you have a buyer or a seller ad, or the most common, which is trying to find a buyer to bring a listing, right? So if you have a listing, number one, you want to create a Facebook ad to bring people to that listing so that they reach out to you and want more information, so you can show them that property. If they don't buy that property, you bring them to another property and hopefully they buy that one. A couple of things that I like to do. Number one, my main photo, I like to have multiple photos of the property. So within the one photo, I typically show the main outside, and then I show a couple interior shots, and there's a little plus button, right? So when they go to click that plus button, it actually brings them into the lead form. Once they give me
And
their information,
sorry, real quick, just to jump in there, Mike. What Mike's talking about here is a neat hack. So I want to make sure that everybody catches on to this. Instead of having just a singular photo show up as your first one, is he creates a collage, much like the four of us right now. So that first image is actually 4 images. And then as we know on our cell phones and through using the internet, that usually that plus button means I'm going to be able to see more photos, or it's going to open up more photos. So he puts that plus button on there. So then automatically you open up the lead form. Is that right, Mike?
As soon as you click, exactly. So as soon as you click that ad, it automatically brings you into the lead form, and you have to fill in your information. Once you fill in your information, it then takes you to my website, where we have a specific landing page for that listing with all the more information that you possibly could use. From there is the important part. It's what you do in the follow-up from getting that lead form. So I get notified to my phone, a new lead has come in, and now it's my job to go out there and to call that lead, follow up with that lead, and convert that lead, right? This is what a lot of people will do. They'll call them once, they'll get no answer, and they'll never call them again, right? You need to be calling them upwards, like literally every day for the first 3 days until you get a response. You should also be sending them a text message every single day until you get a response the first 3 days, and an email. Once you get a response, that's when you want to take off that engagement and really put whatever it is that you might need for them, right? So if they're a hot lead, they might be on a more particular search. If they're a cold lead, maybe it's a more of a nurture, and you're taking them quarterly calls or something like that, right? So it depends on the client, of course. But the very important thing there is the follow-up in the lead, or on the lead, I should say. Typically, the average person will convert a lead on the 12th follow-up, right? So if you just call them once, you have a very low percentage of chance of actually converting. I think I learned that at family reunion as well, is the 3 best times that somebody will answer the phone is on the first call. If they don't answer it on the first call, the second best time they're going to answer it is the second time. And I'm like, okay, like cool. And then she goes, the 3rd best time. And I'm like, let me guess, the 3rd call. It's the 7th call. The 3rd best time is the 7th phone call that you're going to make to them, right? Which you would think, okay, it's going to be 1 1 2 2 3 3. It's not. It's 3 7, right? Which is a lot more.
Yeah, and it goes back to show that you do need to continue making that follow-up, and that's why we always drop off, because most people can make 2 calls, right? Even though a lot of them still don't. But it really is going down that list until you really get a hold of somebody.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It reminds me of the for sale by owner conversions, because most people will knock on the door once, have a conversation, ask if they can help. The person says no, and they go, that person doesn't want to work with me. The stuff for sale by owners is 10 no's before you get a yes. That's the average, right? So you've got to ask them for their business upwards of 10 times before they're going to hire you, unless you happen to catch them right at the right moment. And that does happen with the online leads and door knocking, all the lead methods as well. You might happen to catch somebody in that window just coincidentally, but it is just a coincidence. You can't replicate that, right? But what you can replicate is the 10 asks or the 7 calls or whatever that looks like to get that conversion system going in your business. But if we don't know the numbers, right? Like it's like going family reunion, you thought it'd be 1 2 3. It's like, oh, it's 1 2 1 2 7. Like I probably wouldn't call them 7 times, but now I'll definitely call them 7 times, right? Because we understand it better. When you have,
now I can't wait to call them 7 times.
Yeah,
exactly.
lead gen, right? Like go talk to the
Yeah.
people that are doing it and getting results and go like, what are the numbers? What do I need to know so that I know what to do, so that I have a clear plan and I don't stop too early, right? Because that's I wouldn't have thought 7 for sure. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have. But then I think about for sale by owners. I'm like, yeah, they're 10, right? Like
Mhm.
imagine asking
Yeah.
someone to hire you 10 times before they hire you,
Yeah.
and that's on
Yeah.
average. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's
Well,
exactly it.
this is something that I know we need to dive in deeper on, but I'm watching the clock, and Mel, I know that you have to go. I want to give you kind of like the closing arguments. If there's anything that you want to add in this
Mhm.
Facebook advertising, please share it now before we take off.
Sure, and it's what a tool it is, and
Mhm.
it has so many uses, and it would be really interesting to do, and I was going to do it if we had time today, sort of deep diving what those ads can be about, what they
Yes.
can look like, and I think that deserves more time on this
Mhm.
podcast. And then the second thing is what Mike said at the end, and Jen was referring to, is everything we focus so much on lead generation. In fact, I don't even use that word anymore because it's got a special connotation. So it's like having conversations, getting in front of people and having conversations. But the conversion, that's great. Lead gen is an all, you're consistently doing it. And if you want to make sure of your success, that is one thing you cannot falter on. But it isn't just lead gen one and done. Those buckets full of leads, if you aren't using them or they're bad leads, like that's a whole conversation we can get into. There's no such thing as bad leads. It's the converting. I don't care what a great lead generator you are if you're not converting, right? So, and that's what Mike has done so beautifully here with this Facebook ad. And we as well have had great success with Facebook ads done the way Mike did, not the way Dylan did.
Yeah, and I think what's great, what we'll need to dive into next time is specifically how we structured those ads, right? Mike, the copy that we
Yeah.
used, how we laid that out specifically, how we laid down our photos, all of those tricks to kind of get them working the way that
And
you want.
remember the algorithms change, because I know it's changed
Yeah.
not long ago for us as well.
Yeah.
So it does. That's the one pain in the butt,
The-
but who cares?
Exactly,
I
and
don't
that's the
care.
thing for a $20 investment, or in Mike's case, the $15 Canadian. Like there's, you can test that all day. Really, you should be A/B testing your ads constantly anyway, but you can figure out the algorithm by just continually doing it until it works. I remember in the fall of not last year, but the year before, Mike, when we saw all of our actual click-throughs just drop right off the map. Impressions drop off the map. There was one little change in the algorithm, and all of a sudden, like nothing was happening. Kept trying. Sure enough, 3-4 months later, everything was back up and flourishing again. So it's one of those things you just kind of have to persist at. And the great thing with online ads there in that space is it's not very expensive compared to our traditional print advertising.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Exactly.
thank you so much for joining us today. You
Love
guys can catch us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast, and PSN Coaching on YouTube. Coaches, thank you so much for joining me today. We will catch you all next time.
See you soon.